The Altcoin Season Index in last 3 weeks has moved about from 25 to 56.
Right.
Clearly indicating the time for altcoins. What do you want to say about it?
So it's kind of a cardinal rule, so to speak, that every time BTC consolidates, money starts rotating. So in last few cycles, we've always seen whenever Bitcoin consolidated, Ethereum started running, right? It's kind of the same expectation this time as well. I am not so sure if it's going to be Ethereum anymore, but yeah.
I see a lot of conversations happening around because the expectation was कि भाई ETF approve हो गया ETH का and ETH should take a bull route. But we haven't seen that momentum until now. The kind of action is still missing in Ethereum. So can we actually say that Solana is killing Ethereum? The killer is actually happening.
So, a couple of points there. Now people do say that true flipping is actually Solana passing Ethereum's market cap. Rather than Ethereum passing Bitcoin's market cap. Having said that, I personally don't see that happening as much as is that Ethereum is kind of going through in some form and shape a renaissance of its own, right? So a foundation has been running it for a very long period of time, and given that we were in a large bear market and things have taken so much time to develop, it sort of started to feel like a stagnant ecosystem as such. But if you were to take the wrapper off, there are a bunch of L2s, like for example, Coinbase is it, which is building pretty much everything at the end of the day on Ethereum, right? It's an L2 to Ethereum. So a lot of that actions kind of move to L2s, and Ethereum will have a much larger role to play in terms of, you know, in some sort of being a playground for a lot of new users to come in the ecosystem and so on. But so will other chains.
We see a lot of institutional adoption of Solana. The actual use case that's
consumer.
I would actually talk about business adoption. PayPal and Visa both have used Solana now to improve their transaction efficiency. Franklin Templeton, they said that they are launching a money market fund on Solana. Plus, Societe Generale, the largest bank, commercial bank of France, they said they are launching a stable coin on Solana backed by MiCA regulations. And these indicate increasing use of institutions on Solana rather than Ethereum. I expected that they would use Ethereum, and not even L2s are being adopted a lot.
No, it's actually so. Solana is starting to have its moment when it comes to institutional adoption. Ethereum has a lot more in terms of like BlackRock's entire build fund being built on Ethereum. Large institutions, whatever they build, because it's primarily with the way this is that for institutions, especially trying to build solutions like this, and where they're saying that DeFi could be used in a traditional sense to settle better or have better settlement times and stuff, Ethereum is still a more trusted system to build on, right? Even it might be not as great in terms of like what it is possible in terms of transaction speeds and things like that if you were to directly build on Ethereum, but still trusted a little more by institutions. A lot of large institutional adoption is still there. So I wouldn't say like it's skipping it, like, and the way institutions are, right? So if it was possible for them to build on every place at the same time, they would, right? Like, I mean, it's about the perspective being that we don't want to miss this boat too, right? And Solana is genuinely a great chain to build on, like, and their philosophy of how they've gone about this and so on. So I definitely see more and more institutions will come. They've got a great team behind. There are a bunch of folks basically day in, day out kind of working and making the protocol even better. Adoption in real world is much significantly better. And you can clearly see that if you were to see a perception war from consumer perspective, Solana clearly won the war because it was far cheaper chain to use than in comparison to Ethereum.
So you say if you want to bet bet long, who would you bet on, or both?
I would both at this point. So like, first of all, I'm long the entire crypto market at this point because we are, if you ask me, we're still entering a very early stages of bull market, right? We might see something that we have not seen yet, or maybe saw very early days when it kind of moved like over the same year from $100 to $1,000, right? That kind of stuff may not happen, but still the entire market could move 2x, 3x when it comes to alts, right? It might be a very common thing to hear that no matter which coin that you held went up by 200 or 300%, right?
So let's move ahead. I think let's explore what are other altcoins this season who can be really like in the flash and limelight.
Like I think bunch of stuff is brewing. One, I would say Sui is a very interesting thing happening. Like for that matter, Grass, which is like kind of a new AI project that's sort of picking up quite a bit. I've seen it progress over the last month itself, like significantly in value and adoption. So I do think chains like Ton, for that matter, because of the real world applications, have like a lot of adoption. Ripple, with its new kind of play with Ripple and Ripple stable coins, they could be very relevant again. Very recently, they had like 150% rally. It could be a lot more. Ripple is a company that has a lot of potential because it promises to move a lot of money globally, right? Payments is a large GDP creating thing like across the globe, right? Imports, exports, people buy all kinds of things from oil to all kind of commodities. If a great stable coin to be made, and if you were to bet that maybe they'll be able to crack it better with a stable coin, and regulations improving across the board in US, in a lot of Southeast Asian countries, and where developing countries remittance has to happen, Ripple could play a good role.
From when we're talking about payments and movement of money, I think the most recently a fossil that has been dug out is Litecoin. Right. Because of the meme coin that was launched on Litecoin. Right. Litecoin in the limelight again, and the prices are moving, and it serves a similar function.
So it's a great question, right? So I don't know which part of the cycle we are in when Litecoin goes on Twitter and says, I am a meme coin.
Meme coin.
And people start treating it as a meme coin. Right? So that's kind of craziness is there somewhere in the market. It's all pent up. People are willing to bet on anything that is anyhow differentiable, right? And brands do make a difference.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Apart from product, perception is also in a very highly speculative market. Perception does matter a lot, right? Why, when I look at a 20 set of coins, and there are sometimes I buy simply a coin because I recognize a lot more, right?
So you think still crypto market is, the altcoin market is in still stages where perception far underweighs any kind of utility, or people have started to look at utility when it comes to price action?
Right. People do look at utility in all forms and shapes. And as people mature in the trading and investing sort of journey, it's not, maybe they don't do it on the day one, but once you come and start investing, you buy 10 random coins and you lose money on 9 of them, and you're like, why that happened? And you're actually curious to go back and look that what are these coins were doing, right? And that's where everybody kind of gets to differentiate themselves in one form and shape. Utility is only one of the pillars on which a coin is valued. Right. In fact, meme coins at the same time in parallel are arguing right now that forget everything. Since everything is speculation, why even promise an utility? Right. And in fact, there are coins and systems, like a lot of, in the tens of thousands utility coins that are launched in cycle. Now they're thinking that should we just, because we have a community, should we literally, like Litecoin, change the utility part, say that we'll no longer do this and we are a meme coin. Right. And promise just speculation. Right? So that's sort of where it's heading.
That's so interesting.
For some section of people.
That's so interesting. People moving away from utility to just saying they don't have utility, and that's positively affecting their prices and interest of people.
It's crypto went through a building cycle where people built things that were literally solving a problem that they had there in their head without ever speaking to a user. Yeah. So no matter how much you screamed utility, but to be fair, most coins have no real world utility, right? It's too hard to replace a Bitcoin or Ethereum or a Solana there, or for that matter, another chain like a Base or whichever, right? Correct. That's a tough battle to fight.
I think when we are talking about oldies,
right.
And when I was first introduced to the DeFi market, the first thing that I learned there was Uniswap.
Right.
What's with Uniswap, man? People trading volumes at all-time high, but no news.
So a price action did happen like about a month or so ago is what I remember last, and that was primarily
small.
It's fairly small.
Fairly small.
So I think Uni's time hasn't come yet.
And will it come this cycle?
100%.
with
100%. Like, I mean,
Sui.
you know, like the way the world is evolving and like how adoption works, and there are very binary choices that am I a person who go to a centralized exchange, or am I a person who likes to keep everything decentralized from my trading to all my activities, or just the faster UX in some cases when you're trying to access very, very novel or unique coins and protocols and chains. DeFi way is a much easier way, right? US in that way, given that the kind of economy has been, there's always been liberty as one very large, a sovereign individual ability to take their own actions, and hence the DeFi adoption also in large parts is very, very strong, right? Especially with people who made their money in crypto early, right? They would not move to a centralized exchange. For them, sort of like 100 million holding is not that they will feel comfortable keeping on a Binance, right?
So,
yeah.
We spoke of Binance.
Yeah.
So I think the what could be actually compared to Uniswap is BNB. They do have a development.
Token,
They do have a blockchain, but the larger use case of BNB has always been because it was accepted as fees on Binance.
Right.
Binance being the largest centralized action. So do you think BNB this season could have movement and could give people good returns?
Ideally, BNB has a very binary relationship with the trading volume on Binance.
Binance, correct.
More people trade on Binance. So if we say that we are going to get in if let's our thesis is that we are going to get into a bigger bull market, which means 2x, 3x more volume, it could clearly mean anywhere between 2x, 3x to more prices BNB action, right? I don't know how it translates. Maybe it translates only 50% more or 100% more for BNB, while the volumes go 2x and 3x. But that's definitely there. Having said that, that is sort of a very clear use case utility from a Binance perspective. Like, don't see any other utility of why there'll be a bigger narrative for so on and so forth, right? And the reason why all of this value accrual might not happen to BNB is primarily from regulatory challenges. Tomorrow, some jurisdiction can come and challenge that this is sort of unfair to a particular trader, or I don't know how this will work out, but that's the only risk with BNB. That maybe like what happened with the Binance's own BUSD could be BNB's fate as well. Yeah.
So any day I would maybe bet on Uni.
For sure.
Then BNB,
okay,
for that matter. That perspective.
Yeah, Uni also figured out a way recently by kind of making their own app chain to move a lot of value accrual from Ethereum to themselves, so to speak. Like, Uni might make a lot more money going forward is also a possibility.
Interesting. I think that opens up a lot of opportunities for Uni to expand and provide various products when they do that. So let's talk about the zombie. Mm-hmm. And I think you got it. Cardano. I don't even remember any longer why did Cardano even exist and why does it exist? And what's happening there? Did you have a chance to look at it?
So bunch of things that I understand as well. So personally not an ADA holder or a fan. I'm forgetting the Cardano founder's name, but his primarily narrative all his life was that he'll build something better than Bitcoin. Again, just one of those classic examples of everyone is better than that, right? Over the years, that plan kind of didn't work out, and a lot of folks, both Ethereum, Solana, have been ridiculing ADA one way or the other. If you look at the crypto Twitter, that's how the narrative goes.
Narrative is correct.
But in recent times, when Trump won the election, there was this entire thing where Cardano's founder and the team could get more deeply involved in the US policy and so on. And that's kind of bullish for Cardano. That now they're getting closer to a crypto-friendly administration. And since this guy might be an advisor to the Trump entire thing, this plays for, again, perception being one of those things, right?
Correct.
I never really heard, or so to be fair, like real world application, so to speak, or a consumer application that was built on ADA. Yeah. Never even. So it was just another chain.
Never even heard about an institutional partnership happening with ADA.
And even if it did, it's so easy to ignore. Like,
अब जब हम institutional partnership की बात कर रहे हैं, so the most interesting is MATIC. And last 2 years, MATIC was everywhere, man. 22, 23, MATIC partnered with Disney, MATIC partnered with X, MATIC partnered with Y. And I think they've just lost it. Was it just a marketing campaign that they were executing by executing these contracts, or any real work was actually happening on MATIC and has unfolded?
So I think what MATIC suffered from was a cold start problem. So if you wanted to prove that in real world a lot of blockchain-based applications could be built either on the B2B side or other ways, Polygon was supposed to solve it for that, right? Like, so I have kind of worked with them indirectly for like a Flipkart Firedrops partnership. Like in background, it's kind of powered with Polygon, right? Polygon has a lot of these examples. Now, one could argue that they have done a lot of BD and there's no, but that's the way of building sort of a large market, right? You show real world examples of what could be done, maybe not in the best possible way from an ideal perspective, that why would you build it on a blockchain if you could build it otherwise, but you have to show smaller POCs in a bunch of places. And I think Polygon did that well. The way to think about it, in bear market, we heard about Polygon a lot more than we heard about anybody else. While everybody was quiet, Polygon was still doing things. Right? Which is a good time to show that you can continue building even in markets like that. Right? So for builders, it was a good insight.
What do you think? Would you add Polygon to your bag?
Yeah, like I mean, a small altback for sure. Right? Like I'm happy to take a position on Polygon from the future perspective.
Cool. I think now let's move to the most talked crypto besides BTC. You know, people talking about how Doge is turning from a meme coin to an actual altcoin with utility. Can people think about seriously Doge as for long term, or it still seems like a lot of perception building and marketing game?
Yeah, so I've always firmly believed that anything that has very large adoption and it's community driven, you can always build utility later, right? If enough people believe in something, you can build utility on that distribution because that distribution exists, right? All platforms were built that way, right? From day one, it is not visible, like you are the product. So in this case, like all the buyers of Dogecoin were the products, so to speak, and utility over a period of time get built. Right? It is.
I think, very truly.
You could think of it as like a very side long route of building a PayPal. Right? Correct. You build the distribution first and then you were like, you know what, I will just integrate it with X. And now you can get your annual premium in X, X premium. And when you get like creator payouts, they could happen in Doge. Right? As much as that. They could build like how, example, Tone has built an ecosystem around, like Telegram has built it around Tone and stars. They could build it around Doge, right? And Elon has like basically a master of distribution, right? He has Tesla, he has like bunch of other places. He could send like SpaceX merge for Doge. Bunch of that stuff, like utility will happen. Like utility is something that I believe you can always build if you build distribution first though.
Cool. I think the last token that I want to talk about today is the dog again getting in this world too much attention. And the cat lovers still sad. The Shiba showed quite a bit of movement in the early in the year, and but has lost its essence again. At least October, November, we haven't seen a lot of movement and a lot of interest. Do you even have a hypothesis on Shiba? Most people.
I don't know, man. I used to have a hypothesis earlier where it seemed like a cheaper Doge. Right?
Because a cheaper Doge.
No, that's how people started. I always looked at Shiba as that way. That people try to sell it that way. But like since then, there have been too many coins. I don't know about other people, but I personally don't think of Shiba as a unique coin. At some point it was, but since then we've had so many. As a mind share, that's not a coin that I think about often, and I do not see it organically enough. Right? Doge it's unfair comparison also, to be fair, and that's why Shiba people started doing it. It was not Doge people saying that this is going to be the next Doge. It was the Shiba people saying
it's going to be the next
Doge. So, but over a period, they all seem to have rotated out, and it might find new holders and so on. But I wouldn't think that somebody is holding like a 10-year-old or 5-year-old position in Shiba, which is like 1% types and all that.
Cool. Great chat, Saurabh. So before we depart, I think as we're doing this, we're talking about altcoins. You'll see a lot of influencers, a lot of videos being made on altcoins, and a lot of this, guys, is promotional content also. Like Shiba Rally happened a lot of because of promotions by a lot of influencer, paid promotions. So be careful this season while you trade and invest,
Right.
and while you explore, build your own stories, build your own narratives, research, then invest, trade, or put bets, whatever is your form of putting money in. Thank you.